What's up, world? It is your main man, Rashad Bowtie Mills. I'm super excited because the good Lord decided to wake me up. I'm forever grateful and thankful for that. I'm super excited because the good Lord decided to wake you up. So you, in turn, should be forever grateful and thankful for that as well. I'm also excited because I understand it's 5 a.m. somewhere in the world. So you know what that means? It is happy hour. Now, the happy hour message for this week is simply these 3 words. It's much deeper than these 3 words that I'm about to tell you. But for the sake of the 3 or 4 minutes I'm going to spend with you, we'll just cut it down and say, love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor, simply, it's a beginning portion of a Bible verse which says, love thy neighbor as if you would love yourself. So understand this. If you haven't been under a rock, if you haven't been in a coma, if you haven't been on planet Mars or Jupiter or outer space in any form or fashion, you understand that 2 African-American gentlemen this past week, they lost their lives. One in Minneapolis, Minnesota, also one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as I begin to read all of the articles, as I begin to watch all of the videos that surface from these 2 incidents, I begin to think about something very simple. Love thy neighbor. When you love the neighbor, your neighbor, in the same way in which you love yourself, there's no way that you can go out and commit senseless acts like these police officers did. And let me just quickly preface my statement by saying this. This message is not about police bashing, because there are some great police officers that do 2 things. Number 1, they invested in the individuals in which they work with. They're also invested in the communities in which they work in. So there are some great police officers out there. And fortunately for me, I know a few of them. So the message is not about that, but the message is this: love your neighbor. And just think about it on a day-to-day basis, and let's just kind of quickly forget what happened in these 2 incidents. I want you to love your neighbor on a daily basis. And it doesn't mean the neighbor that you're physically located in where you live at. Love your neighbor when you're driving to work. Think about loving your neighbor. When you get to work, love your neighbor. When you're in the religious institutions in which you serve in, love your neighbor. When you're in the mall, love your neighbor. When you're in the grocery store, love your neighbor. Because when you love your neighbor the same way that when you love yourself, you think about them, you care about them, and a lot of things that are going on in our communities, they just don't happen. Because I'm gonna be quite honest, guys, the world in which we live in right now, it is so filled with negativity that it's absolutely crazy. But let's go back to the central theme, what some of us maybe we actually learned when we were little, about loving your neighbor. Care about the next man the same way that you care about yourself. Guys, and with that being said, I know every Friday morning at 5 o'clock, I give you these messages, but I want to take this platform because I have a platform right now to reach a bigger audience. So on Saturday mornings, if you're on Periscope, starting tomorrow, you can catch me there at 8 o'clock, Periscope, every Saturday morning. I give you happy hour here on Friday at 5 a.m. every morning. So on Saturday, starting tomorrow on Periscope at 8 a.m., I will give you the hangover where I'll just continue to talk about love, positivity, and hope, and all that good stuff. Because guess what, guys? We need everything we can, because, again, this world in which we live in right now, if you allow it, you will actually get caught up in the swirl of negativity. But, again, there's so many positive things going on. But, again, I want to encourage everybody to love your neighbor the same way that you, in fact, love yourself. Guys, live in spirituality, live with a purpose, and everything you do, do it with passion. And with that said, I am out.